You finish the game, the credits roll, and instead of feeling satisfied, you just feel empty. Not tired, not bored, empty. Like something was taken from you, and you don't know how to explain it to anyone who hasn't felt it. If you know that feeling, you already know what we're going to talk about today, even if you never had a name for it. Just a heads up, because we're talking about endings today, I'll be showing some key moments from Final Fantasy Rebirth and Clair Obscur. Consider this your spoiler warning. I remember finishing God of War. Kratos had done what he had to do. The music was still playing, and I just sat there without any purpose. I opened Netflix, I closed it, I picked up my phone, I dropped it back on the desk. Nothing felt worth starting. Nothing felt worth doing, because nothing felt like that. I've talked to a lot of people who describe the same exact thing. The same hollow quiet. The same feeling of, I don't know what to do now. Turns out, and we all knew about it, there's a name for it. And as of March 2026, there's actual science behind it. Researchers at SWPS University just published a full scientific scale specifically designed to measure post-game depression. They studied 373 players, and what they found wasn't just people get sad when games end. It was more structured than that. In an age of increasingly realistic and immersive games, understanding the processes taking place in players' minds can help us understand how they impact our mental health. They identified 4 different aspects of post-game depression, and I want to walk you through every one, because when you see them laid out, you're going to recognize yourself in them. The first, and the most intensely experienced of all 4, is game-related ruminations. Intrusive thoughts about the plot, about the characters, about the world. You close the game, you're lying in bed, and you keep replaying it. You think about what you could have done differently. That one option, that one line. If you've played Final Fantasy Rebirth, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's not nostalgia. It's not, oh, that was fun. Your brain is replaying something that felt real, processing it the same way it would process something that actually happened to you. Because as far as your emotional memory is concerned, it did. The second aspect is what the researchers call a challenging end of experience. That's the clinical way of saying the transition out of the game world is genuinely hard. Think about it. You've been inside that game for like 40, 60, 80 hours. You've made decisions that shaped it. You've had real stakes in what happens. And then, one cutscene later, it's over. And you're supposed to just go back to normal life, make dinner, answer emails, sleep. Be a person, but your brain hasn't caught up. It's still in the game. The contrast between that world and this world can be genuinely disorienting. That disorientation isn't you being dramatic. It's documented. Third aspect, and this is one I don't see talked about enough, the necessity of replaying. Not wanting to replay, needing to. Like there's unfinished business. Like there's something you left behind. I started God of War twice. Not because I forgot what happened, but because loading back into that world was the only way to feel something again. And if you've done that, jump back into a game not because there's something you have to find, but because you've missed the feeling. That's not just I like the game. That's one of the 4 documented responses of post-game depression. You're not weird, you're just in the data. Now here's where it gets specific, because the researchers found something about RPG players in particular. And if you're here watching a video about MMORPGs, about RPGs, about games that eat entire months of your life, you're going to want to hear this. We don't just experience post-game depression like every other player. There's a documented reason for it, and it has everything to do with how these worlds are built. But first, the 4th aspect, which might be the most recognizable of them all. Media anhedonia. That's the clinical term for nothing else feels worth consuming. You try to watch a show, it feels flat. You start another game, nothing clicks. You open YouTube, a podcast, a book, and everything feels like a lesser version of that what you just finished. The researchers found this was the least intensely experienced of the 4, but for a lot of players, it's the most noticeable. Because suddenly your entire media diet feels pointless. Post-game depression is a specific type of grief after loss, reminiscent of parting with a loved one or the end of an important life stage. Grief, that was a word that had been used, and I think it's exactly right. So, why do we feel this hardest? Our research shows that gamers playing role-playing games are most susceptible to post-game depression. It is in these games that players have the greatest influence on character development through their decisions. and build the strongest bonds with their characters. And the more engaging the game world and the closer the relationship with the character, the more difficult it is to return to reality once the game is over. In Lost Ark, you've put hundreds of hours into your character. You've run the raids, you've watched the story unfold. You know these people. In ESO, the world responds to you. It remembers your choices. There's a version of Tamriel that only exists because of the decisions you made in it. When that ends, when you step away, that bond doesn't disappear. It just has nowhere left to go. And then there's Clair Obscur. I didn't just play it. I got every single achievement. 100%. I saw everything this game had to offer. Both sides of the coin. And when that last achievement unlocked, I felt proud, but I also felt hollow. That's the one that made me want to make this video. Because if a game can do that to me, even after I've seen it all, done it all, then we're not talking about unfinished business. We're talking about something else entirely. We're talking about grief. Here's the part that actually matters. Why this happens. Your brain doesn't cleanly distinguish between real emotional experiences and immersive simulated ones. Emotional memory works the same way. When you lose something meaningful in a game, a character, a world, a storyline, your brain processes it as a real loss. The researchers also found that people who tend toward repetitive, intrusive thoughts in daily life are more likely to experience strong game-related ruminations. And people who felt more intense sadness after finishing a game tended toward a more pessimistic general outlook. This isn't weakness. This is your brain doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Attach meaning to experiences that felt real. For many gamers, the virtual world becomes such a significant source of emotions that returning to everyday life requires time and appropriate psychological tools. And honestly, the fact that games could do this, generate genuine attachment, grief, loss, I think that's remarkable. Not a flaw. Evidence that this medium is doing something that actually matters. So what do you do with it? I'm not a psychologist. I'm not going to pretend to have all the answers. But here's what I've actually found helps. Name it. Seriously. Just knowing that what you're feeling is post-game depression, that it's documented, that it's real, that 373 players felt the exact same thing, that alone takes some of the weight off it. Give yourself transition time. Don't immediately launch into the next thing. Let yourself feel the ending. Go back and watch a cutscene that mattered to you. Read some lore. Sit in the world a little bit longer before you leave it. Talk about it, even here down in the comments below. If a game hits you hard and you're still thinking about it weeks later, say it. Because the loneliness of feeling this in silence is worse than the feeling itself. Post-game depression is real. The research confirms what a lot of us already felt. And the fact that someone built a scientific scale to measure it tells us something. These experiences are worth taking seriously. What games do to us emotionally, that's not a niche conversation anymore, it's a human one. Whether it was Lost Ark, God of War, ESO, Clair Obscur, or a game that no one ever heard of. If a game moved you and leaving it cost you something, that experience is valid. Any game, any hours, what you felt was real. If this video found you at the right time, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.